All right, let's get right into it. You know, in the world of gardening, there are a few things that get people as fired up as wood chips. Seriously, for some, they're this incredible, almost magical tool for building amazing soil. But for others, they're seen as a surefire way to kill your entire garden.
So, what is the real story here? Are wood chips this secret weapon that can create a beautiful, low-maintenance garden? Or are they this plant-killing monster that's going to suck the life right out of your soil? Well, that is exactly what we are here to figure out.
Here's what we're going to cover. We'll look at the undeniable benefits. We'll bust some of the biggest myths out there. I'll give you a complete user's guide. We'll face the one major drawback head-on. And then hopefully, we'll get you to totally rethink what you consider yard waste.
Okay, first things first, let's talk about the proven real-world results. Why do so many gardeners who've been doing this for years absolutely swear by wood chips?
Well, the benefits are pretty huge, and they're well documented. Wood chips basically act like a giant sponge on top of your soil, which means you're going to be watering way less. They also block out the sun, which, let me tell you, cuts your weeding time down dramatically. And on top of all that, they keep the soil temperature stable and build incredible soil over time, all by recycling something you'd probably just throw away.
And check this out. This number is just wild. Research from Oklahoma State University found that on a hot summer day, the soil under a layer of mulch can be up to 30 degrees Fahrenheit cooler than bare soil right next to it. That's not a small difference. That is a massive deal for reducing stress on your plant's roots.
And here is where the long-term magic really happens. As gardener James Prigioni puts it so well, this isn't about traditional composting. You lay the chips on top, and this whole fungal network comes to life and slowly breaks them down, turning them into humus. That's the good stuff, that rich, dark organic matter that makes soil fertile. This process literally transforms your soil, making it better and better every single year.
All right, let's tackle the elephant in the room. We've got to talk about the fears, because these myths are what stops so many people from even giving wood chips a try.
And this is the big one. This is the #1 concern I hear all the time. The idea that wood chips are going to suck all the nitrogen out of your soil and starve your precious plants. So, is there any truth to it?
Well, the reality is, it's a bit more complicated, but the fear is mostly overblown. Here's the crucial thing to understand. Nitrogen gets tied up only when you mix fresh wood chips into your soil. When you just use them as a mulch on the surface, the effect is tiny. It only happens in the very, very thin layer where the chips meet the dirt. Your plant roots, which are way down deeper, they're not affected at all.
Okay, myth number 2 is all about pH. There's a lot of worry out there that using chips from pine trees or other conifers will make your soil super acidic and kill everything.
But you know what? The science just doesn't back this up. Sure, fresh pine needles are acidic, but as they decompose, the soil life actually buffers that acidity. It neutralizes it over time. Long-term studies have shown again and again that wood chip mulch just doesn't have a significant impact on the pH of the soil underneath it.
All right, let's do a quick rapid-fire round on some other common worries: termites, fires, and spreading diseases.
So here's the quick rundown. Termites? Nope, not really a concern. They like dry wood, and mulch is almost always moist. Just to be safe, keep it about 6 inches away from your house's foundation. A fire hazard? Okay, yeah, this one's a possibility. Wood can burn, so you just need to be smart and careful with things like grills or fire pits nearby. And spreading disease? It's really unlikely. But hey, if you know a tree came down because of a specific root disease, maybe just don't use those particular chips. Simple as that.
So, now that we've hopefully put those fears to rest, let's get down to the practical stuff. How do you actually get wood chips, and how do you use them the right way?
And here's the best part. You can often get them for free. I mean, actually free. Arborists and utility companies are always looking for places to dump their chips. You can call them up or use a service like Chip Drop. Or, hey, if you do a lot of pruning, you can even rent a chipper and make your own. And of course, you can always buy bagged mulch at the store, but the free stuff is usually a much better mix of materials anyway.
Applying them is super easy, but the details really matter. First, always put them on soil that's already moist. You want to lock that water in. Then, go for a nice, deep layer. I'm talking 3 to 5 inches thick. That's what really smothers the weeds. And this is crucial. Pull the mulch back from the stems of your plants and tree trunks to prevent rot. And remember that 6-inch gap around your foundation.
Now, it's not a one-size-fits-all solution. You have to tailor your approach. For things that live a long time, like your perennials, shrubs, and trees, a deep layer of wood chips is fantastic. It builds that fungal soil they love. But for your annual vegetable garden or when you're planting tiny seeds, it's better to just rake the chips aside, plant into compost or soil, and then pull the chips back around the plants once they're a little bigger.
Okay, so it's not all perfect. To be completely fair and balanced, we have to talk about the one pretty significant downside to using wood chip mulch.
The very same thing that makes wood chips great, all those nooks and crannies that hold in moisture, also happens to create a 5-star hotel for pests. We're talking slugs, snails, pillbugs, earwigs. They absolutely love living in there.
But look, don't despair. This is a totally manageable problem. The number one trick is to just rake the mulch away from your most vulnerable little seedlings. Letting the top of the mulch dry out between waterings helps a ton too. If you happen to have chickens, they'll be your best friends for pest control. And if things get really bad, you can always use an approved organic bait as a last resort.
So let's just pull this all together. Because using wood chips isn't just a garden chore, it's really a shift in your whole mindset about a resource most people just throw away.
Think about it. Instead of seeing tree trimmings and branches as trash that you have to bag up and send to a landfill, you can start seeing them as a long-term investment in your garden's health. You're literally turning waste into black gold for your soil.
So let's just boil it down one last time. On the pro side, you've got a free, sustainable resource that saves water, crushes weeds, and builds fantastic soil. On the con side, yeah, it can provide a home for pests, you got to be careful with fire, and you need to manage it carefully around tiny seedlings.
When you look at it like that, the evidence is pretty clear that the benefits just massively outweigh the drawbacks, which are pretty manageable. So the final question is really about perspective. That stuff you call yard waste, it isn't trash, it's treasure. So, are you ready to put it to work?